Everyone told me to help my sister escape her terrible husband. I ended up helping him instead. My sister has always been the golden child while I figured things out alone. When she got married, my parents handed her $50,000 for a down payment, and when I asked for help, my mom said, "You're smart enough to figure it out yourself." I spent years saving every penny to buy a modest house that was finally mine. Then her marriage fell apart, and at a family dinner, my parents cornered me. My dad said, "Your sister needs to stay with you until she gets back on her feet because her husband destroyed her." I said no. My mom called me heartless, but I held firm because something about my sister's tears felt rehearsed. I left for a work trip 2 weeks later, and when I came home 8 days later, my sister's car was in my driveway. I figured she'd stopped by to guilt me into changing my mind, but when I got to my front door, my key didn't work. The door swung open, and she was standing there in my bathrobe like she owned the place. Mom and Dad let me in with the emergency key, and I changed the locks for safety, so calm down. My mail was opened on the counter, and my clothes were piled in a corner because she'd moved her things into my closet. She'd told my neighbor she was the homeowner, and I was just her difficult sister staying temporarily. When I went to my bedroom, I found her sleeping in my bed, her toiletries spread across my bathroom counter, and a stack of forwarding forms she'd started filling out to redirect my mail permanently to her name at my address. She wasn't just staying in my house, she was trying to become me. I told her to get out, and she laughed in my face. "And go where? This is my house now." Mom and Dad agreed. "You can sleep on the couch until you find somewhere else." I told her I wasn't sleeping on the couch in my own house, and she shrugged like I was being dramatic. I said she couldn't just take my house, and she looked at me with this cold smile I'd never seen before. "Watch me. I've been doing this a lot longer than you've been playing pretend at being successful. You think you're special because you saved up and bought a little house? I take what I want." I asked her what happened to her own house, and she rolled her eyes and said her husband took everything from her and left her with nothing. I asked how that was possible when Mom and Dad gave her $50,000 for the down payment. She said, "That's none of your business. What matters is, I have nowhere else to go, and you're going to deal with it." I called my mom, and she said, "Family takes care of family whether you like it or not." I grabbed a box of my sister's stuff and drove to the house she'd lived in with her husband, the one my parents supposedly helped her buy, because I wanted to dump her belongings on her own lawn and make it her problem. But when I arrived, the place was condemned with boarded windows, overgrown weeds choking the yard, and a faded notice on the door saying it hadn't been legally occupied in over a decade. This was supposed to be the house she'd lost in the divorce. This was where the $50,000 went. I called her husband expecting a monster, but the man who answered sounded exhausted and broken. The house was never hers. She showed me forged paperwork before we got married, and I didn't find out until the real owners started legal proceedings. I lost my job, nearly went to prison, and your parents' $50,000? I never saw a single cent of it. She told me it went to renovations on a house that was never ours to renovate. When the real owners showed up with police, he was the one who got arrested because his name was on all the utilities. He spent a year fighting charges while she played the victim, and told everyone he was the one who deceived her. I've been trying to warn people for months, but everyone believes whatever she tells them because she's so convincing. I didn't destroy her life, she destroyed mine, and now she's doing the same thing to you. He said he'd watched her do it in real time, watched her cry on command and make up stories and twist everything until he was the villain in a situation where he'd lost everything. I asked why he didn't fight back, and he laughed his hollow, broken laugh. Fight back how? She's got your parents paying for lawyers. She's got everyone convinced I'm the villain. Who's going to believe me over the crying woman with a rich family? When I asked if she'd done this before, he went quiet for a long moment. There's a reason she moved 3 times in 5 years before we ever met. I'm not her first victim. I'm just the one who finally figured it out too late to save myself. I pressed charges the next morning. Her tears didn't work this time.